Hello all, my name is Nick the Paladin and we are going to go over the new build that you're going to be running in Mod 20. There's been some recent changes in preview in the past few days right before live has happened, so this is probably what's going to be that it's going to happen in live, so we'll go over that while we talking through the video. Uh, so pretty much here we go. So first we're going to go over the gear. Um, Pretty much what you want to try to get is the Tier 1 Hunt and Avernus Cristados Horns. This is going to be a really good thing for healers just because when you damage or heal your target for more than 10% of their max HP, uh, you will get a gain of crit strike for 1%, can stack up 10 times. So this is just not for you, this can be your whole teammate, so when you do your Divine Shelter, this can have a really good chance to get you 10% in crit strike, which is something very valuable that you need. Um, Another thing is great is the Bone Devil's Ribcage because that can increase your crit strike, crit severity. This is going to be acquired in the Tier 3 hunts in Avernus. So your wrist can be pretty much what you want to run at that point. If you can't run IC, you completing the Avernus campaign where you can go into the Bleeding Citadel, try to get the Divine wrist at that point. It's literally the exact same as the Lion Guard. Um, but I just like having a Lion's Guard because I know when I keep increasing my item level, I'm going to need this power. So I like just to keep it on, and it has a nice good item level. The weapons that I run is the Lionheart, it's the Tom pieces. It's been definitely something that's very consistently great for healers for quite a few mods. So if you can do Tom, or if you feel like you're trying to migrate way towards Tom, Tower of the Mad Mage, this is something that you should try to get. Uh, the Celestial gear for Zariel is another great option. It's definitely better than Lionheart because they made the Lionheart set a little bit weaker. Rather than 10% outgoing healing, they made it 7.5. And then the Celestial, when you get 2 stacks, you get quite a bit more. You get like 15 or so. But you gotta get stacks, and then you gotta maintain those stacks to keep going. Um, so pretty much it's just what you want to do with those. I just like Lionheart because it's very easy with my stamina. As long as I have full shield, I'll always have 7.5. But then if I lower a little bit, the lower it gets, the less more outgoing I have, and then the closer I get to empty, it will increase my damage resistance. So it's something to just keep myself alive. So it's a really solid set to have. Um, Now, if you don't have anything, you run the Blessed set. So you running those as an option is really good, just because it has very high item level and it can help you out. Okay. Um, Now, something that I want to experiment later on is an item set that hasn't been really thought about for quite a few mods, and it actually might be very beneficial. And it's very scenario. It has to be very scenario um, that can benefit you if you run with a crew. So like me, I run with my guild mates. I have about 10, 15 people that I do a lot of dungeons with just because we like to have a great time together, and it's always great to have friendships in the game. So I know that at least 5 other people in this crew right here are really thinking about running the Bronzewood set. Now, this can be a really good option. Again, the main downfall is you have to have 4 other people to be committed with you on this, and you have to be running quite a bit together. But if you actually have this setup right here, this is actually going to be a really good set because the set bonus is 2% outgoing damage, 2% outgoing healing, and 2% uh, negative 2% incoming damage. So the incoming damage and the 2% outgoing damage will help the tank. the 2% outgoing healing will help the healer, and the 2% outgoing damage and the actual incoming damage will help the DPS. So this will just be very beneficial for a lot of your team if they keep it like this, you know. So they could change it. I don't really want to confirm it until live happens and if it actually happens for a few weeks. So I'll definitely come back with a little video, just kind of talking about that weapon set, and I'll definitely be buying it. So mainly the two downfalls about it is, again, you have to have constantly like the crew that you run and you all commit to get that. So when you run together, you have this ability and you have this stuff, and that's great. But again, you have to have that certain amount of people, and it costs, because the masterwork sets are not cheap in the auction house, because it'd be way much cheaper for you just to buy it rather than you spend all of the works just getting the masterwork set to get to that level, and then you actually get all the parts for it to actually get it. So I definitely see why it's so expensive, but it costs like 4 million for the Paladin's set right there. So either way you go, where you're like, I'm going to go for a Tom or Celestial, or I'm going to go for the Masterwork set because I run with my crew. Both of these are going to be a challenging road because either you get to have a lot of Astral Diamonds or you spend a lot of time and a lot of other resources in your Astral Diamonds and trying to get your gear and everything up. So it's a little bit of a catch-22 either way you go. So definitely just kind of look at your options right there. So it's pretty cool that we actually have options now, and it's not just like, this is the set I run, you know. So I'm pretty pumped about that. But moving on, I like to run the Barbed Cultist Greaves. You can find this from Juma when you're doing your Insurgents and Ape and Balanos. This is a really good set for people that have really high HP, because again, when you start getting to higher item level, the more HP you have. And it's kind of harder for you to heal because people have the rustic iron leggings, and you know, it's definitely not helping them getting more heals. So you need to get your crit strike and crit severity up to a certain point so you can actually be getting them heals right there. They can actually give you your stacks, because again, you need to get these two stacks right here, because this will give you 10% and this will give you about 12% right here. So this is something huge right here to get, so you can actually get this up, your crit strike and crit severity, and you kind of need the base to start. So with this right here, when you critically strike with your power, so when you do a heal, you have a 10% chance to reduce your hit points by 20%. So you'll be pretty much at like 40 some K if you had like 600K, HP, and then you'll gain 3% defense. This lasts for about 10 seconds, so you don't really need to be lasting long, and this just kind of helps you get started with that extra, the extra like start with your extra stacks. So I definitely do not recommend this to anybody that can't take a hit at that point, and I definitely don't recommend it to be IC or above. If you want to do like Lair of the Mad Mage and below, that's great, and that just kind of helps you right there. So mainly general contents that I run with this. I run Whisper of the Shadow Demon. This is what I really run with my tank, just because this is acquired from a tier 1 hunt and Avernus. Whenever you're struck by a crit strike, you have a 10% chance to increase your maximum hit points by 20% and you gain 3% defense. Now, the really cool thing about this is it says when you are struck by a crit strike, so it's not talking about damage anymore. When you heal, and you heal anybody, when you're struck by a crit strike by a heal, it gives you the HP as well. So it's really cool. So you can be running about 700k HP, and that's pretty darn awesome right there. And you get a little bit more increase into your defense. So the artifact set that I run is the Tiamat set. This is a really good choice. That's going to be standing and pretty much until you get to the last dungeon for the new dungeon, the vault, just because this gives you 5% outgoing healing and 5% incoming damage. You really not caring about like crazy item level right now because you just need that outgoing healing to go up. Um, but pretty much once you get to the new dungeon and you can actually start beating the new dungeon and you try to get the currency, you would be changing it out for the new artifact set that's coming out. So the new artifact set, they've changed it recently in the past few days. It used to give you 5% to damage whenever you had a shield, which for Bally's, for our shields, that's really easy. So that was a great boost and a little bit of power right there. But now it does something even better where it's just like the Demigorgon Shard of Orcus set, but it's so much better because the Shard of Orcus would only give you 10% additional damage from the difference between your health and the target's health. So this is really great when you're doing bosses because at the very end, it's very hard struggle to, because you can have, to get your boss down in a short amount of time, like I see Tom, you have to get him 10% and below, you gotta like knock him down. So getting any kind of buff at near the end is really great. So when you got that, that was really cool for DPS, and that's awesome. But now with this set, if you gains up to 10% additional damage or healing based on the difference between the hit points percentage between the player and the target. So now this one includes healing, and that is so much better right there. So this will be the set that you will be running right here because with your with your Lion Guard, your Lion Heart, and your with this set with the sparkling Fey Emblem, this is just going to be really good. So it also does have a really good clicky where it's a little bit of a defense attack where allies gain 5% defense and crit avoidance and foes take 5% more damage. So that's pretty darn cool right there. So it's kind of a good thing to run in the mix of all of the debuffs that go. So this will definitely be a little hard to get because again, this is like very end game to acquire, and then also you can get on the auction house, but I mean, my God, you're going to be spending quite a bit of astral diamonds just to get this. I would picture this being for quite a few million. But yeah, so that's going to be fun right there. So just kind of keep running your Tiamat set when you can get to the end game, or if it ever starts going down on price on the Sparkling Fey Emblem, that's when you can buy it. But the Tiamat set is really good. So artifact-wise, I run the journal as my main just because of the stun that it gives. It increases your damage. It doesn't really do much for me, but for my tank it does. And then mainly I run this for my healer because of the AP gain that it gives me. So I really like running this overall because it has quite a few different great abilities. If you don't have that, the Staff of Flowers, always great. 15k power, 15k crit strike for 15 seconds, and it's definitely good just to have for just definitely get a little buff right there. So you can run those, and then you definitely have to have the Tiamat in your roster so you can be rocking that right there. The rings, I would definitely always advise just going for the crit strike of Master at first. This is definitely, they always say keep getting the 10-10 gear, which is something great to get. Definitely don't like skip out on that, but that should be like the most back burner thing to get because that is like quite a bit of Astral Diamonds while this is like 100k. So, and you're only losing a little bit. So I would definitely say this is going to be the best thing that you should run, and then you can run the 10-10 gear once you have everything else down. Now for the shirt and pants, the shirt, the new weapon for all the new stuff that we get from the new mod, the shirt is going to be the best from the actual seals vendor because it's the exact same thing as the Infernal with the 100 more item level. So a nice little boost to your item level, and you get a little bit better stats right there. So that's great. The pants, it's pretty crappy, so I wouldn't really worry about the pants because is just that you're not getting that AP gain and you're just getting movement speed. So that's pretty crappy. There is a pants that you should be going after that I have just been very unlucky and not be able to get is I have the protege wards on, and that's easily from the Seals vendor, and it's pretty darn great. But I really want to get the pants from the tier 3 hunt because it is the exact same thing as the protege. So if you're doing tier 3 hunts, you try to aim for that, and you try to aim for the bone devil's rib cage. Those two will help tremendously. There's a lot of other tier 3 drops that can help your power if you need some help, but again, with you can definitely try to strive for that right there if you need that. Now, for my ability score, I chose Wisdom and Charisma because Forte and Outgoing Healing is pretty huge. You can try to go for the Dex right there if you wanted to in Wisdom because you get crit severity, but with us being, with our Forte, we get Divinity Regain and we also get crit severity. So with these two already in our Forte, we should just try to go for that. You would get more crit severity if you went to Dexterity, but you want to kind of split the two. So going for Charisma and Wisdom is always a good choice right there. Pretty much after that, we're going to go to the stats. So pretty much the way your heals are broken down is your item level controls your hit points and your damage, and it helps with your stats as well, but your damage is what makes your heals and where it's based at. So you would think that, oh, let's just get my item level skyrocket high and let's just get there. Well, you really can't, because that's just part of the equation. The other parts is power, crit strike, crit severity, and outgoing healing. So you can do it, seems like, two ways at that point, and you can mix and match it however you feel, but it's pretty much you can either teeter like either way you want to go. So there's builds out there. Aragon talks about it. You can go straight power, 90%, and then you focus on your crit strike and crit severity, and you try to get your outgoing healing as high as you can at that point. So I definitely tested that, and you do. You get great heals. That's one way to do it. With the current changes, I was trying to experiment more, and I got the same heals with me eating just like how most of us eat at that point. We eat a watermelon sorbet, a superior flask, and then I drink a Wild Storms elixir. Let me buy some. Boom. Don't judge my inventory because it is very messy. Very messy indeed. And then at that point, I get pretty much my crit, my power to 61%, and I got my crit strike and crit severity up pretty good. And again, with these two, when you get stacks with where I'm at right now, I can get it to pretty much, the crit strike will be at 90, this will be almost at 90. And then with my outgoing healing, I focused all of my companions on outgoing healing rather than power. And then I put my at-will attack for power. So when I get that, I'm at 68% power, and my crit strike and crit severity is at 90. And then when I use Circle of Divinity, I get a 15 additional outgoing healing, and that'll be at 88%. And I do, with me focusing more on my outgoing healing, I do the exact same heal as if I had 90% outgoing, if I had 90% power, and then with like 50 some outgoing healing, because I had hardly any focus on outgoing healing at that point, and then my crit strike, crit severity staying, at the same. And the reason why I just throw this build out there just a little bit different is because, if you've been following my builds, or if you've been following mainly most of the healer builds out there, they told you to focus on outgoing healing. So I definitely have acquired quite a few outgoing healing companions at that point. So there were mainly, most of them were, all of them were at legendary, And I can see you all having quite a few, epics and legendaries in these companions right here, if you've been following my build. So it was very much easier for me when I needed the companion tokens and I needed to upgrade. It's much easier for me to spend 150 companion tokens when outgoing healing and focus on getting that up than me getting the alpha copy, and then getting the Deep Crow hatchling, and then all these other power companions who would totally change my whole build. So I had to first spend all that astral diamonds, and then I can use maybe like one or two of my outgoing healing ones. So again, it's a great build if you have the resources. I just know that there's a lot of players out there that doesn't have the resources right there. So just know that there is another way, because if you've been following most heal builds, just focus on outgoing healing, and you just try to get your power high enough at that point, you can do pretty much the same exact heals right there as if you had 90%. I tested it at that point on a person that didn't run, that stupid rustic iron leggings, because those are always great on your incoming healing, and both times it would range from my power being at 90 or my outgoing healing pretty much at 90. It was pretty much all the highest I saw was 460k that I gave him. So definitely very comparable. I will say, if you wanted to have pretty much 90% on your crit strike, crit severity, and you wanted a 90% on your outgoing healing, if you actually been doing the Avernus campaign, I would definitely say try to get your outgoing healing weight all to max, and then if you did the buyouts for the Redeemed Citadel as it was going on, you could have bought the Asmir race, and that would have gave you 2% more to healing. So with you having your outgoing healing all the way capped, and with your Circle of Divinity, you'd be at 88%, and then with the Asmir, you'd be at 90. So that's why I'm at like 88%, but if I actually spent the money on it, I could have been at 90, but 2%, it's not going to destroy you, but it's just always great to see that green light up and you feel so great about yourself, So, but that's definitely a different outlook, and that's the reason why I love this new combat workout, because you can focus straight on power if you have the power companions, and if you have the resources to get the power ones, then do it. If you are more struggling at that point and you're just like, I just want to kind of keep rolling what I've been rolling on, then just get your outgoing healing companions up, and then just keep focusing on getting these tier 1, tier 3 hunts, and so you get your crit strike up as high as you can, and then just keep getting the power up, and you should be totally fine to run content. I've done Vault, and I've done pretty much all the dungeons right there, so this is definitely a viable build. So pretty much just kind of know that you don't have to follow certainly with both of our builds out there, or anybody's builds, so you can mix and match, but you really just want to focus on either power or outgoing healing. Maybe want to throw a crit strike, crit severity, something in there if you need it. So pretty much my boons that I run is mainly just for my personal use at that point. I want some more hit points, as I always can use that. And then I like to run just kind of different stats that I needed at that point. So a little bit more defense, a little bit more crit avoidance, crit strike. I wanted some movement speed, and I wanted my health potions to do more of a heal right there. Mainly you all probably, if you're leveling up right now, you may want to just focus on power and hit points, and then if you want to, as you level up, you may realize that you have a crazy amount of power at that point, so you may want to put it into other things. But that's a later on game, so pretty much a very easy bet. Just put it into power and put it into your maximum hit points, and you should be totally fine at that point. I put my tier 5 ones, I put them into Forte and the outgoing healing. Those are just two solid ones. You can do action points, I guess, if you wanted to, but I just feel like these two are going to be the best ones, so you can get a little bit extra divinity regain, and then you can get your crit severity up a little bit more, and then you can get your outgoing healing up as well. I chose Bless Advantage. It's a really solid one. If you heal at least 10% of your target's health, you'll get these abilities. You get a heal over time, you get some more power, and you reduce your abilities by 5% by each stack. So if I got 3, it does by 15%. So it's just a really solid master boon to get. So yeah, these are my boons right there. Oh, I almost forgot to tell you about my companion. Is I run the polar bear cub. You could run a definitely different amount of companions if you are wanting to. This is more up to you on what you want to run. Again, there's definitely a variety. Definitely you can check out some other builds if you want some other options. I mainly just changed to polar bear cub just because it gives you more crit strike and power. And with me getting more item level, like I said, you just can't be a quick burn. You have to make sure you balance everything as you are going. So me getting a little bit more power than I used to, and then my crit strike, I needed that extra little gain. So the polar bear cub gave me that little more boost. So that is why I run the polar bear cub. It's more of your choice at that point on what you want to run. The mount, if you can spend for the Swift Golden Lion, then definitely do it. It's definitely going to be the best mount to have. I would definitely recommend it. The only downfall, it costs 3.8 million. So it's definitely a huge buy for a mount, but my God, it's amazing. So I would definitely do for it if you got it, but otherwise you just run whatever amount you got. I would try to find a mount that has a stat that you're struggling on. So I want to do crit severity, so I chose Armor Breaker because again I need crit severity, so I got that up. And then I had me Commander T-Rex, and I just think that's really great for a group because it fears mobs. So like in the first boss of Vault, you're going to find out there's a bunch of ads. It fears those ads, and then they take 15% more damage, and then, you know, it's just a nice little win. The new change recently in preview in the past few days has been the item level contribution that the bolster gives at that point. It used to be 7,500, and you'll see it in live right now at 7,500 if you're at 100%. Now it counts as 6,000. So they lowered it a little bit just to kind of help control the item level, I bet. So that's pretty great. Just because, you know, they don't want people to be crazily DPS, crazy heals. So this is an easier way for them to control that. So I like it. I like that they can reel people in. Powers, nothing has changed for me at that point. I still use Cure Wounds. I use Violent Strike, Sacred Weapon, Divine Shelter, Circle of Divinity, Lay of Hands, Shield of Faith. I may trade one of these out for Sanctuary for different kind of dungeons. Or Restoration, use Composure for Divinity. And then my feats have not changed at all. Like, you've been watching my builds, these feats have been staying the same. So that is pretty much it for my my whole mod 20 build. I can't wait for everybody to see this. The dungeon is really fun. It's definitely going to be very interesting. So I can't wait till you all see it. If you all are ever needing a alliance on PC, my guild and my alliance is always open to new members. So when I say my guild that I am in, it's not my guild that I am in, I'm an officer there. So at that point, just message me in game, message me in here. If you're ever needing to be a part of an alliance, I can get you in an alliance within us or if our guild, if we have spots. But we're always accepting new recruits. We're very helpful for everybody, and I will say there's only two rules, main rules that we have. And if you break these, then you will get immediately clicked. There's more rules, but these are the two like biggest no-nos. Is there is no foul language or cursing in Discord or in Alliance chat, because we are in a family alliance, so we don't really want our kids or children to see any inappropriate language or hear anything. And then we are no exploits at that point. So if we catch you doing exploits, you are immediately kicked from our alliance at that point. So just know that right there. If you are ever needing some immediate help, please message me. You'll see me also. I run a lot with another guildmate of mine. His name is Ranger Reek. You should check him out. I'll have his link below in the comments. He is a streamer on Twitch. He's a really great guy, and he is very knowledgeable on most characters right there, in most classes. So if you're needing any help, he can definitely help you. If there's a question that he can't answer, if it's like a healer question or a tank question, he will definitely go through our resources within our alliance or his people that he knows, and he can definitely find out who you need to talk to. And anybody in our alliance is usually very helpful and very wanting you to grow. So just keep that in mind. Overall, guys, I hope that you learned a lot. Please message me if you have any questions, all right? Thank you all so much. Have a nice day.